Prison relationships between staff and incarcerated people happen the same way as an office romance. There was a famous story a few years ago of a guard who helped a man escape so they could go off and live their romance, at least for a few weeks. And it makes sense because staff work long shifts at the prison, sometimes 12 hours at a time. Some of the officers used to joke that they spend half their lives in prison. And when you work around somebody day after day for hours at a time, it's impossible to keep all those walls up. Eventually people become people and you start talking to them and you start sharing things and you start building relationships. And sometimes there's an element of manipulation. Other times there's an element of desperation, but whatever the cause, people connect. And it's a risky thing because legally an incarcerated person cannot consent. So if a staff member and an incarcerated person have consensual sex, it's still considered a crime and that person will have to be on the sex offender registry. But even though that's the law, it is incredibly rare that they prosecute cases like that for the same reason it's incredibly rare that they prosecute guards for bringing in drugs or doing other favors. Because the prison system doesn't want the prison system to look bad, so they can look the other way, or they can allow someone to resign, or they can just walk them off and say they're conducting an investigation that never concludes anything. Even so, somebody has to have some really strong feelings or some really strong needs to engage in something that could even have a slight risk of putting them on the registry. And while I've seen some disasters, I've also seen some incredible success stories of people who start a relationship while they were incarcerated and continue it after released.